So the Gemara on Daf Chav Ches Amud Beis in the Mishnah, and then the Gemara right afterwards, going on to Chav Tes Amud Aleph, establishes that according to Reish Lakish, only the father is makabel Naziris for his son, and not a mother. Now, when we talk about the mitzvah of chinuch, so the real question is the following. What is the nature of the mitzvah? Is it that the father becomes obligated in the mitzvah of chinuch, or really it's the son himself that's obligated in the mitzvah of chinuch? The father is only there to encourage, to supervise, and to facilitate the son fulfilling his chiyuv of chinuch. And it all boils down to a Mishnah in Masechet Megilla on Daf Yutes Amud Beis. So this is a little relevant to Purim. The Mishnah records a machlokes between the Chachamim and Rabbi Yehuda. Normally, a Katan cannot be motzi a gadol yidei chovasa, but at least according to Rabbi Yehuda, the exception to that rule is Megilla. And why is that? Because Megilla is only d'Rabbanan, and the Katan is chayiv in mitzvahs midrabbanan, mishum chinuch. So one Rabbanan could be motzi another Rabbanan. The Chacham disagree. And this Mishnah is relevant to a Gemara in Masechet Brachos on Daf Chaf Amud Beis. The Gemara there is analyzing whether women are obligated in the mitzvah of Birkas HaMazon on a Doraisa level. And there's a Brisa that says the following. Ben mevarech li aviv. Right, let me just get a pencil here. Ben mevarech li aviv. Ve'isha mevareches lebaila. So the son, who's a katan, could be mevarech birkas hamazon and be motzi his father, who's a gadol, obviously. And a woman can be motzi her husband in birkas hamazon. So the Gemara wants to prove from that women are obligated in the mitzvah of Birkas HaMazon on D'Oraisa level, because if they're only chayiv d'Rabbanan, right, because they don't have a nachla in Eretz Yisrael, whatever it is, then how could she be motzias baila b'Birkas HaMazon? I mean, he's chayiv d'Oraisa, she's chayiv only d'Rabbanan. So it must be that we have a raya that women are obligated in Birkas HaMazon d'Oraisa. And Tosas and the Gemara gives the following answer: that the husband, only ate a kizayis, and he's not chayiv in Birkas HaMazon d'Oraisa. He's only chayiv d'Rabbanan. She, on the other hand, is also obligated at least midrabbanan. So even if I hold that nashim chayavos midrabbanan, but since he only ate a kizayis and he didn't eat Kidei Svia, and he's not chayiv b'doraisa, then as a Rabbanan, she could be motzi him, even if she's only obligated midrabbanan. And we see that a katan could be motzi his father yidei chovasa, because even though the katan is only chayiv midrabbanan, but the father only ate a kazayis, so he's only chayiv birkas hamazon d'Rabbanan. And a woman, even if I assume she's only obligated midrabbanan, she could be motzi her husband in event that the husband ate less than a shear of doraisa. So basically, to sum up, we have the following parallel. We have, let's say, Rabbi Yehuda in Megilla, who's of the opinion that a katan could be motzi acherim yidei chovas Megilla because the katan is chayev midrabbanan, and Megillah itself is d'Rabbanan. Then we have a case where someone ate less than the shear of a doraisa, and he only ate a drabanan shear, and then a katan could be motzi him because his chiyuv is only drabanan. And the same thing would be true according to one mandiyama that women are only obligated in birkas hamazon derabanan. She could be motzi her husband who only ate a small shear, meaning less than the shear d'oraisa. So Tosfos in Masechet Megillah that we started with asks the following question: why do the Chachamim disagree with Rabbi Yehuda, and they don't allow a katan to be motzi acherim yidei chovas Megillah? A katan is chayiv in Rabbanan mishum chinuch, and we're all chayiv in Megillah mid Rabbanan. So why can't a katan to Rabbanan be motzi us in Megillah according to the Chachamim? Rabbi Yehuda seems to be, hands down, he's absolutely correct. So Tosfos introduces a concept called trade Rabbanan. And he says that a katan in Megillah is called trade Rabbanan. First of all, he's not a gadol, so he's only chayiv midrabanan. So that's like one strike against it. And then on top of that, Megillah itself is only drabanan. So the gadol is chayiv with one drabanan, the katan is chayiv with two drabanans. And a trade drabanan cannot be motzi a chad drabanan. Am I making any sense? What?
That it ties in with the question of what I was thinking, but it's I don't understand that last part we just said. Why would a trade rabbanan not be allowed? You would think that would be better. If I have a chiyuv d'oraisa, you have a chiyuv d'rabbanan, I'm on a higher level.
Right. So
why
I can't
would
be
having two? Yeah. So why would having?
But what if I'm
d'rabbanan
on for two counts? First of all,
and I'm only one.
Is d'rabbanan. And on top of that, I'm not even a bar chiyuva because I'm a katan. So I got like two strikes against me. It's a trade d'rabbanan. You're only one d'rabbanan. You're a gadol, and you're chayav in Megillah midrabbanan. But I'm not only potter because Megillah is only d'rabbanan, but on top of that, I'm also a katan. That's the logic of Tosfos. Trade d'rabbanan.
So can I ask a question?
Right. Please.
Is there a concept where if a woman is going to be yotzei, shemei ka'aneh, right? A man can motzi a woman if they're on the same level. If the man's on a higher level, he can also be motzi the woman. My question is, from the woman's perspective, is there an advantage to be motzi? I think it's a hard question. Is there an advantage for the woman to be motzi by another individual who's on a higher level than she, as opposed to being equal? Either way, she's yotzei. What I'm asking is.
Well, I'll tell you what Ira, it really depends on what's called mitzvah seishes man grum, meaning if a woman is exempt d'oraisa, then what's the nature of her chiyuv d'rabbanan? If she's exempt d'oraisa because it's a time-bound mitzvah, then the rabbanan are saying, wait a minute, af hein hoyibos anes. They were in the miracle itself.
So I'm thinking that,
But her chiyuv is not a chiyuv d'rabbanan. It's a chiyuv of af hein hoyibos anes.
Okay.
His chiyuv is d'rabbanan. So her chiyuv is on a lower level. Why?
Okay.
Let's say, for example, the Bahag says on Daf Dalet in Megillah that a woman is only chayav in shmiyah. She doesn't have mitzvah kriya.
Right.
So af hein hoyu bos anes, Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi's famous principle, doesn't generate a chiyuv kriya. So she doesn't have a chiyuv kriya. So if she reads it for another woman, at least according to the Bahag, that's not going to cut the mustard because she's not obligated in kriya. Someone who's not obligated in kriya cannot be motzi someone else. But a man, even though he's only obligated midrabanan, but he has a chiyuv kriya, not just shmiyah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's complicated for one woman to read a Megillah for another woman. I don't remember what it says in the Mishnah Berurah. Maybe you have if you could open up to the Mishnah Berurah.
I think what it is the Ramah goes based on the Bahag. But I thought the Bahag was saying it's a woman cannot read for a man, not for a woman.
Well, again, you have to keep in mind that in order to set up a kriya so that a woman could be yotze with hashmiya, you need a bar chiyuva. And according to the Bahag, only a man is a bar chiyuva as far as kriya is concerned. So if you have a chiyuv kriya, then you could create a kriya, and now you can apply shomei ka'ona, and you could be motzi someone else in kriya. But if you don't have a chiyuv kriya, I don't know how you're going to be motzi someone else.
Right.
Even though that chiyuv is only shmiya, but it doesn't matter. They have to hear a kriya in order to set up a shmiya. So you need a bar chiyuv of kriya, which according to the Bahag does not apply to a woman. The Rambam and the Shulchan Aruch might hold that a woman was obligated not only in shmiya but also in kriya. And therefore, the kriya could create a shmiya. But the Bahag thinks that Afein Hoyibos Anes only joins them in the mitzvah of shmiya, but not in the mitzvah of kriya. In any event, just to summarize what we've been saying, it seems like a katan is a bar chiyuva. And the proof of the pudding is because a katan can be motzi his father in Birkas HaMazon. How is that possible? Unless he's a bar chiyuva. So we started with a question about chinuch. Is a chinuch an obligation on the father or is it an obligation on the son? The fact that the son could be motzi his father, again, only in the case where the father ate less than a shear of kidei svia, and therefore the father's chiv is only d'Rabbanan, and the child has a chiv chinuch midrabbanan, it can only be meaningful if the katan is a bar chiyuva. If he's not a bar chiyuva, how could he be motzi a gadol? Okay. Now we have the Ramban Shita. The Ramban is going to answer the question of why a katan, according to the Rabbanon, cannot read the Megillah for a gadol, but not the way Tosas says, because it's trade the Rabbanon. But he says the lav mitzvah dideh. It's not his obligation, meaning the katan is not obligated. He's not a bar chiyuva. El diavua. The iu, the katan, lo mechayve b'mitzvahs kol ikar. So in that original Chakira, we see that the Ramban accepts the second opinion, namely that chinuch is an obligation upon the father and not upon the son. Says the Ramban, what about Rabbi Yehuda? Rabbi Yehuda says that the katan can read the Megillah for a gadol. Says the Ramban, that's a special din by Megillah, because af hein hoyibos anes, meaning the Rabbanan imposed the chiyuv on the child with regard to Megillah, but not with regard to other mitzvahs. Other mitzvahs come under chinuch, and the mitzvah of chinuch, the obligation is incumbent upon the father, not on the son. And Rashi, elsewhere in Masechet Brachos, on Daf Memches, establishes that a katan cannot be motzi a gadol in Birkas HaMazon. Just 1 second. Mishachal kezayis dagon motzi acher yidei chavos af pishach yuvein l'Rabbanon umechi achel kezayis dagon miu mafik afagav the kezayis dagon shiru d'Rabbanon miu kevan the mechayiv d'Rabbanon mechuyu b'davar krinan be motzi acher yidei chavos yim Torah Katan shegiel lechinuch lo amar hachi. So he's assuming that a Katan, even though he's a Gil Lechino, cannot be Motzi a Gadol. In the case of a Katan, he's not obligated even Mirabbanan. It's not like a Gadol who ate a Kazayis Dagon. Here, Alei de Avuahu de Rami Lechinuche. The Chinuch is incumbent upon the father, not on the child. So we see that both the Ramban and Rashi hold that a Katan is an Eino Mechuyev B'davar. And that's why he can't be Motzi others, Yidei Chavasam. But the Pashtus, in the Sugi and Brachos, it says that Ben Mavarch Li'aviv, like Isha Mavarchas L'Baila. Which means that the Ben, at least on the Rabbana level, is a Bar Chiyuva. All right, there's another sugya later on, maybe, but on that sugya, it seems to go the other way. So just to summarize, it seems that according to Tosfos, the mitzvah of chinuch is incumbent on the ben, and therefore ben becomes a bar chiyuva, and he could be motzi a gadol, unless it's trade rabbanon. It's fine. But according to the Ramban, the mitzvah is not incumbent on the ben, but rather on the father. And the ben is a lav bar chiyuva. Comes along the Chikrei Lev. I don't know who he is. Have to Google it. And he writes that even according to Tosfos, the mitzvah of chinuch is not on the ben, but on the father. But nevertheless, the Katan could be motzi acherim, because the Katan could set up a Maisa mitzvah, even without a Chovas Gav. Comes along Rav Ruben Grozovsky, and he says it can't be. How can you tell me that if he's not mechuyev, he could be motzi others? He's got to be a bar chiyuva. You can't tell me, oh, he creates a Maisa mitzvah. Yeah, he creates a Maisa mitzvah if he's a bar chiyuva, but if he's not a bar chiyuva, how can he create a Maisa mitzvah? Now Rav Reuven asks another kasha on the Ramban. We have halacha that Bezdin is also obligated in the mitzvah of chinuch. And in event that the father is not fulfilling his mitzvah of chiyuv, who steps into his shoes? Bezdin. Now, according to the Ramban, there's no mitzvah at all on the ben. The mitzvah is on the father. And can we now say that according to the Ramban, the chiyuv is on Bezdin if there's no father? I mean, the mitzvah of chinuch is imposed on the father. If we all like Tosfos, that it's a chiyuv on the ben, so then I could say that the father has to supervise the ben, make sure he fulfills it. If there's no father, then Bezdin steps into his shoes. But if according to Ramban, the entire chiyuv is on the father, why should that chiyuv be shifted in event the father's over to the of Bezdin? So therefore, Rab Ruvain suggests a reinterpretation of the Ramban. What does the Ramban mean when he says that the mitzvah of chinuch is on the father and not on the ben? So he suggests that the Ramban holds that there is a mitzvah on the ben, but it's not the same as the mitzvah on the father. The ikar chiyuv is on the father. So what's the mitzvah on the ben? The chiyuv on the ben is lihischaneh. And the father is charged with the obligation to make sure and guarantee that the son is mischaneh. And therefore, Reb Reuven answers this question: how is it possible to shift a mitzvah chinuch onto the shoulders of Bezdin? But the answer is because the ben's mitzvah is to be mischanech. The father is to supervise and make sure that the ben will be mischanech. If the father's not around, then Bezdin steps into the shoes of the father, and he has to guarantee that the son is mischanech. Okay, this is very, very profound. Let's take a break here and